So I was talking with a student of mine. Let me turn this off. And she asked me about how to get better on clarinet. And so I was thinking of different ways, that will help a high schooler to be consistent with their practice. Oh, get in focus. To get consistent with their practice. And so what we did is we made a list, which is more like a factor tree that you used to do in math. And I'll show that to you right now. Let me get this. And so it kind of looks like this. Let me see if I can focus it a little bit better. Okay. And I'll freeze that frame so you all can pause right on it. So if you look at the first thing I said right here, it says technique. Then under the technique, I have slow, slurred, and consistent. I believe whenever I practice, if you practice slow, like BPM at 60, and then you practice slurred, so no tongue, no interruption, and then you have to be consistent with that. And then if you go down here, let's see, what does that say? Chromatic. So whenever I do technique stuff, I do a chromatic scale. I go for me, the first thing I do is I go from D chromatically, so D, E flat, E, F natural, F sharp, G, and then G sharp. So for the music people, that would be a tritone away. I do that and I go up and down at BPM equals 60. So I'll just throw on a metronome. Come on. Here we go. Oh, just already have it. Okay. And I just go and I do quarter notes. Ba, 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 ba. Sorry, let me see if I can get on pitch. Sorry. Ba, 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 ba. I'll let the metronome do the singing in this portion. So that's all I do. I do it with quarter notes. And then I go to eighth notes. Then I do triplets. That was really bad. Let me try that again. It's kind of hard to do on a phone. Close. Close enough. You get the idea. So the whole point of that's a really easy exercise to do, just because it's chromatic and you learn that like 6th, 7th grade. So it's really easy. But the point of it is for you to make sure that in your mind, like your fingers are popping each time exactly in the beat, and it has to be consistent and steady. So it's ba 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 ba. So it's not like early, it's not late, it is exactly in time. So it's really hard once you start doing the breakdowns. So whenever you go from that to eighth notes, ba da 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 da. And then triplets is the same thing, and then you can go on to 16 sextuplets, 30 seconds, whatever you may need. So that is how I do technique for myself, and I actually do that pretty much on a daily basis, especially when I'm practicing every day. The second thing that I have is tone. Let's see if we can get that in there. Tone. It's not quite focused. There we go. Okay, tone. And then I have these broken down into two things. One is embouchure, and then if you look down here, I have 3 blanks. So on each instrument, it's different. So for saxophone, you can do more than three blanks, but I just wrote three because it would fit. The three for me for saxophone for embouchure would be to have a nice circular round pressure around the mouthpiece, and then to have a natural bottom lip, and then the last thing would be to have my bottom jaw pushed forward just a little bit. Not kind of like I have an underbite, but not too much that it leaves tension in my jaw. So just real relaxed, a little bit of underbite. So that would be my three blanks. Now for you it may be different depending on what instrument you play. So if you were playing like, let's just say like drums, how hard do you how much of the wrist do you use? How much of the fingers do you use? Stuff like that. And then over here I have breathing. Now if you play percussion, breathing is very minimal for you. But for a wind instrument, breathing, I like to think about it into three different things. A nice, what does that say? Deep diaphragmatic breath. And so that just means to fill up from the bottom and not to take like a chest breath where your shoulders move really, really far and really high and you only breathe from here. You want to breathe from the bottom, so the bottom of your lungs. So most of the time what happens is whenever you do that, your stomach will press out. There's a couple things that some people I know do. You can lay on the floor and lay some books on your stomach and then breathe and try and lift those books and keep them at the same height whenever you breathe. The second thing is to breathe in and out. And I got this from my director of bands a couple years ago, where most of the time whenever we breathe, naturally we breathe in and out. We don't really think like in, hold, out. We just think in and out. I really like that because it doesn't add tension anywhere in your body, especially like in your chest or your stomach. Straight natural. In, out. And then the last thing is relaxed. Oh my gosh, I wish I could focus though. Relaxed. A nice relaxed breath. So you don't want to be like really closed up. Just nice, relax, remove all the tension. And then one of the last things I put on there was ear training. Now ear training is really essential. I actually forgot a little part of that. Ear training is really essential when it comes to like tuning and listening to others and collaborating with other musicians. And I broke that down into two things. So I'll go over the second one first. It is listen to other good soloists. So whenever you listen to people who are proficient at their instrument, you got to get an idea of like, okay, whenever I play my instrument, I should sound something like this. The goal is to sound maybe exact if you really like the way they sound, or have an idea of, okay, this is what a good like clarinet player sounds like. She sounds full, rich, not like throaty or squeaky. So it kind of just gives you an idea of what to look for. And then on the other side, it is I have a metronome at 60 BPM. And then I have play a Remington exercise. So if you don't know what a Remington exercise is, it's basically you start on one note and you keep that note the same. Then you go down by half steps in the next measure. So, ba, 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 ba. Now, that's probably not the notes that are written. It was just the first note that came in my head. it's good to do this with a drone in the background. So like this. We'll see how close I was. This is a C. Not even close. Da. So you need to have your metronome. 3, 4. Da. Wow, I was running out of breath there for a second. There are two really big things to make sure that you do whenever you do this. And it's kind of hard to fit in there and get all focused. Wow, I am not running focus at all. The first thing is every time you play a C, make sure that it is exactly in tune and the same every time. So whenever you have that drone going, you have that pitch. Whenever you go down to the next pitch, you want to come back right at that C or whatever note you're playing, the top note. You want to come right, like instantaneously in tune and the same color. So like in this case, da da da. So it was whenever I just sang that, I came in right exactly on the same note, and it was exactly in tune. And you don't want it to go da da da. So see how I scooped in there? You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that it is an instantaneous change. The second thing is you want to notice the difference between each pitch. So we have the C going, right? So whenever I change it down, I don't know if you can see that. The ISO is super high. Let's see if I can change it so you can kind of see it. Yeah, kind of. You kind of get the idea. And so you hear that difference. And now listen to the difference between the B natural and the B flat. The distance apart is farther away, and it sounds more like parallel lines. Then when we go to the A, minor third, A flat, G, then F sharp. This would be like the tritone, and then finally F, natural. This would be like the fourth. So writing this down makes it super simple for you to focus on just one aspect and then to check those aspects off as you complete them. And whenever you complete them, you gotta, it's not really like you complete them and then not think about it. You complete them and then you add them to the next one. So for me, let's say embouchure is like the easiest way for me to explain this. So whenever I do embouchure, I'm thinking, okay, I got to keep my pressure like a circle for saxophone. So I'm thinking like O. And then I'm also thinking, okay, I got to keep my bottom lip. Once I get my O nice and consistent, I can do it every time. The next thing I'll do is I'll think about just my bottom lip. Making sure that it's natural and not all the way rolled in and not all the way rolled out. So I think that it's natural. And then I add them together. So I have to think natural bottom lip, but a circle embouchure. Real easy. And then you can do that with all three of the aspects if you have 3 or 4 or 5 or however many there is. So yeah, I just want to make this video because me and a student actually just made this, and it is 10:40 at night. She asked me a good way to practice, and so I figured I would help her do that. So if you have any questions about this, I'll leave, like I said, I'll pause it at the beginning of the video. I'll actually you know what? I'll pause it at the end too. And if you want me to email this to you, I can just write it in the comments and write your email, and I will definitely email this to you. If you have any questions or anything that you would like to add to this system, just let me know. I would love to hear what you all think about it, and also how maybe I can improve this a better way to make it more efficient for students and even myself and you all. So, yeah, if you have anything, just let me know. Alright, that'll be it for this lesson. Boop.